Considering the fact there's nobody that you'd really favour over Canelo Alvarez right now, I think a fight against Billy Joe Saunders isn't that bad. He's at least an opponent who can cause a bit of trouble. Is there anyone you'd favour over Alvarez outside of maybe Beterbiev at light heavyweight? No. And that kind of says it all. So there's no real danger man out there for Alvarez, not that we know of. David Benavidez, Caleb Plant, some of these guys, they're either too unproven or just don't really pass the eye test. Billy Joe Saunders, though, while 168, he hasn't looked great at it, and it's not ideal for him considering how good Alvarez looks right now. He is a guy who can present tactical problems, which I don't think Alvarez has had to deal with in his last few fights. Saunders is an intuitive boxer. He moves well. He knows how to feint, something Callum Smith didn't do at all, who was pretty disappointing, it's got to be said. As much as people were praising Alvarez for his performance, just as much could be said for how, whatever, Callum Smith looked. He showed a lack of imagination. He seemed very willing to get backed up against the ropes, didn't know what to do. And in the very last round, he was looking at the clock for when the fight was going to finish. So you do have to question the mindset of fighters sometimes. They're full of it before it, and they say they're gutted after, but there's gradients to bravery. And I think Billy Joe Saunders has got more of that winner's mindset. He's going to be happy with the paycheck he gets as well, but I do think he's more of a winner than Callum Smith. And with his ability to feint, he's going to be able to possibly make Canelo stutter a bit, which is what you need to do. Canelo Alvarez is a very smart fighter. And his presence in the ring, which is the word Callum Smith used, it's really grown. He moves forward confidently with his chin down. He makes you miss. And he just starts threading through great counters. He just feels like he owns the ring these days. Billy Joe Saunders, with his feet, with his ability to switch, the angles, he's got to make him feel uncomfortable straight away so he doesn't know what he's dealing with. The rhythms are different, the timing's off. He's got to make him second guess himself a little bit to try and get into his own groove, because these days Canelo just gets ring center and makes you feel small. You've got to try and flip that. And Saunders might be able to do that with a bit of that gypsy magic. 168 though is not ideal, is it? He hasn't looked good at this weight since he's moved up. I don't think he's going to have the necessary physical strength. And then the other big thing, of course, is Alvarez's head movement, his defense. It's fantastic. He is going to make Saunders miss many jabs, so he can actually frustrate the slick boxer here. And when you're missing jabs and you get frustrated, and if you really do want to win like Saunders says he does, you're going to start going in a bit, giving up your range. And that's when Canelo's so good at mid-range. He slips, you fall in towards him, and then it's uppercuts and hooks. And at that range, Saunders has not got much of a hope. He's just better on the outside, moving. But he is really up against it. Now, could he legitimately win? Most people are going to say no. If he did somehow win 7 rounds, would he be given the decision? Probably no. So the likelihood of a Saunders win is really not high, is it? He is going to have to train like a demon. He is going to have to do as much strength and conditioning as he possibly can do. He needs to devise a perfect game plan with Ben Davison, and that means working out how Canelo is going to react to things, trying to exploit little habits. Canelo's never had good stamina. He's semi-automatic. He fights in spurts. Saunders needs to be active with the jab. He needs to try and just tap the forehead. Not necessarily hurt him, but keep him busy and guessing. That's when you can catch him with little shots unaware. But it's going to take a whole lot of everything. Not just to have success, but to sustain that over 12 rounds. Canelo Alvarez's confidence right now, the physical strength, the defense, his hand speed. It just seems there's too much in Alvarez's favor. And I'm not talking about judges' scorecards already being filled out. I'm just saying Canelo Alvarez right now seems too good. And what we've seen of Saunders at 168, he would have to raise his level so much. I do think he is going to be able to make an interesting fight. But win is another question. What do you think? I think it's one of the better fights to be made right now. Do you give Saunders much of a chance?